The Village Festivals, a medieval celebration sleep journey. Picture yourself in the heart of a medieval village during the golden days of summer, where colorful banners flutter in the warm breeze and the sound of laughter echoes across cobblestone streets as the community prepares for another of their beloved seasonal festivals. Tonight, we shall journey through the celebration cycles of medieval Europe, following the gentle rhythms of feast days and harvest festivals, community gatherings, and religious observances that marked the passing of seasons and brought entire villages together in joyful celebration. These were not grand royal occasions or significant historical events, but the simple, heartwarming traditions that filled ordinary lives with wonder and connection. The village festivals, where farmers celebrated successful harvests, where families honored patron saints, and where neighbors came together to dance, feast, and strengthen the bonds that held their communities together through every season of the year. In this age of seasonal celebration and community tradition, when most people marked time by the cycle of religious feasts and agricultural milestones, each festival represented a precious break from daily work, an opportunity for entire villages to come together in shared joy and gratitude, creating memories that sustained families and communities through the quieter months of labor and routine. Let us drift now through their peaceful celebrations, as gentle as spring rain falling on festival grounds, as warm as bonfires lighting autumn evenings, as joyful as children's laughter echoing through village squares, where generations gathered to continue traditions that connected them to their ancestors and their faith. Imagine yourself standing in the village square of Sainte Marie au Bois on a bright morning in late June during the year 1356, where the entire community has gathered to celebrate the feast of Saint John the Baptist, with the traditional midsummer festival that marks the height of the growing season and celebrates the abundance of summer's longest days. The festival preparations began 3 days ago, when the village women started baking the special honey cakes and sweet breads that are only made for this annual celebration, their kitchens filling with the wonderful aromas of cinnamon and ginger that children associate with festival time throughout their lives. The men of the village spent yesterday afternoon building the great bonfire in the center of the square, carefully arranging logs and kindling in the traditional pattern that has been used for this celebration since their grandfathers' grandfathers first settled in this peaceful valley, each family contributing wood from their own stores as a symbol of community cooperation and shared celebration. Dame Isabel, the miller's wife, who serves as the village's unofficial festival coordinator, has organized the food preparations with the same careful attention that she brings to all community events, ensuring that every family contributes according to their means, while making certain that no one goes hungry, regardless of their circumstances. The festival representing one of the year's most important expressions of village solidarity and mutual care. Young Pierre and his sister Marie spent the morning gathering wildflowers from the meadows surrounding the village, their colorful bouquets destined to decorate the makeshift tables where the community feast will be served, their excited chatter and laughter adding to the festive atmosphere that builds throughout the day as neighbors greet each other and admire the preparations. Brother Antoine from the nearby monastery arrives carrying the special liturgical items needed for the religious blessing that begins every village festival, his presence reminding everyone that their celebration honors not only community bonds, but also the divine providence that provides for their daily needs and protects their village through every season of challenge and abundance. The morning hours pass quietly as families complete their festival preparations, mothers braiding flowers into their daughters' hair, while fathers polish their best leather shoes and brush their Sunday tunics, the anticipation building as the sound of church bells will soon call everyone to gather for the opening ceremony that officially begins the celebration. Master Guillaume, the village baker, emerges from his workshop, carrying the enormous festival bread that represents the centerpiece of the community feast, its golden crust decorated with intricate braided patterns that require special skill to create. This ceremonial loaf, symbolizing the grain harvest that sustains the village throughout the year, while demonstrating the baker's artistry and dedication to community celebration. Dame Catherine and her elderly mother work together to arrange the pottery bowls and wooden serving spoons that will be used for the communal meal. Their careful attention to detail, ensuring that the feast will proceed smoothly, while creating opportunities for guests to admire the village's best ceramics and carved utensils, objects that represent years of skilled craftsmanship and family pride. The festival officially begins when Father Michel rings the church bells in the special pattern that announces celebration, rather than calling people to regular worship, the joyful sound carrying across the surrounding countryside and informing neighboring villages that Sainte Marie au Bois is observing its patron saint's feast day with appropriate ceremony and community spirit. Children run through the square carrying small wreaths of flowers and herbs, their excited energy adding movement and color to the gathering crowd as families emerge from their homes wearing their finest clothing and carrying dishes to contribute to the shared feast. Each family's arrival marked by warm greetings and friendly conversations that strengthen neighborhood relationships. The religious ceremony begins with Father Michel offering prayers of thanksgiving for the year's blessings and requesting continued protection for the village community, his words reminding everyone that their celebration serves spiritual as well as social purposes, connecting their earthly joy with gratitude to the divine sources of their prosperity and happiness. Brother Antoine leads the gathered villagers in singing the traditional hymns that accompany the feast of St. John, their voices rising together in harmonies that their parents and grandparents sang at this same celebration. The continuity of music and prayer, linking current celebrations with generations of festival tradition that stretches back to the village's founding. The blessing of the bonfire follows ancient customs that predate Christianity but have been incorporated into religious observance. Father Michel sprinkling holy water on the carefully arranged wood, while explaining how the festival fire represents the light of faith that guides the community through spiritual darkness, just as physical fire provides warmth and illumination during winter months. Dame Margaret begins serving the festival meal by offering the first portions to the village elders, whose long experience and accumulated wisdom earn them honored places at community celebrations, their presence connecting younger generations with village history, while their participation in festival activities demonstrates that celebration brings joy to people of all ages. The feast includes specialties that are prepared only for this annual celebration: roasted lamb, contributed by the village's most prosperous sheep farmer, fresh cheese, made specially for the festival by Dame Agnes, who tends the community's dairy cows, and the honey wine that Master Robert brews each year, using techniques learned from his grandfather, these special foods making the festival meal memorably different from everyday dining. Children participate in traditional games that have been played at this festival for generations, running races between the houses, playing singing games that teach them the village's traditional songs, and competing in simple contests that allow them to demonstrate skills while providing entertainment for adults who remember playing the same games during their own childhood festivals. The afternoon brings music and dancing as Master Hourigny produces his fiddle and begins playing the traditional melodies that accompany village celebrations, his music encouraging young and old to join in the folk dances that have been performed at festivals in this region since time immemorial. The dancing creating opportunities for courtship, friendship, and simple physical joy that makes celebration complete. The evening concludes with the lighting of the great bonfire, its flames reaching toward the darkening sky, as villagers gather in a circle to share stories, sing traditional songs, and enjoy the peaceful companionship that makes their community a place where families want to raise children and spend their lives. The fire's warmth and light, creating an atmosphere of safety and belonging that sustains them through every season. Feel your breathing slow as we drift through the turning seasons to the village of Mont Saint-Éloi during the harvest festival of October 1389, where the successful completion of the year's agricultural work brings the entire community together for a celebration that combines gratitude for abundance with preparation for the quiet months of winter, when outdoor work becomes impossible and families depend on stored food and preserved goods. The Harvest Festival in Mont Saint-Éloi represents the culmination of the agricultural year, when months of planting, tending and harvesting finally yield the grains, vegetables, and fruits that will sustain the village through winter and spring until the next growing season begins, making this celebration both joyful thanksgiving and practical preparation for the challenging months ahead. The festival preparations began immediately after the last grain was gathered from the fields, with village women working together to process the harvest into flour, preserves, and dried goods that will maintain their nutritional value throughout the storage period, their cooperation demonstrating the community teamwork that enables medieval villages to survive and prosper despite limited technology and resources. Master Jean, the village coordinator, spent the past week organizing the practical details that make large community celebrations possible, arranging for tables and benches to accommodate the entire village population, coordinating food preparation to ensure balanced meals and adequate quantities, and scheduling activities that provide entertainment for people of all ages and interests. Dame Eleanor leads the group of village women who specialize in preparing the traditional harvest foods that mark this annual celebration, their apple tarts and pumpkin breads, representing culinary skills passed down through generations of village cooks. These special recipes, creating flavors that villagers associate with successful harvests and community prosperity throughout their lives. The village children spend the morning creating decorations from the colorful autumn leaves, dried corn stalks, and late-blooming flowers that nature provides for harvest celebrations, their artistic efforts transforming the village square into a beautiful festival space, while giving them opportunities to contribute meaningfully to community preparations. Brother Etienne from the local monastery brings the special wines and ales that the religious community produces for festival occasions, their beverages representing some of the region's finest fermentation skills, while providing the monastery with opportunities to participate in village celebrations and strengthen relationships between religious and secular communities. The Harvest Festival begins with a religious ceremony that acknowledges divine providence in providing successful crops, while requesting continued blessings for the community's well-being during the coming winter months. Father Bernard's prayers, connecting earthly gratitude with spiritual understanding that prosperity depends on forces beyond human control and deserves humble appreciation. The blessing of the harvest includes a procession through the village carrying samples of all the crops that sustained the community during the growing season: wheat and barley that provide essential grains, apples and pears that add sweetness and nutrition to winter diets, and vegetables that provide vitamins and flavors throughout the storage period, each crop receiving specific acknowledgement and blessing. The community feast showcases the abundance that successful farming has provided, with dishes prepared from freshly harvested ingredients combined in traditional recipes that maximize nutrition while creating memorable flavors, the meal demonstrating both agricultural success and culinary skill while providing opportunity for shared enjoyment and social connection. Young couples use the festival as an occasion for announcing engagements and planning weddings, the harvest celebration providing appropriate timing for commitments that will be formalized during the winter months when reduced agricultural work allows time for marriage ceremonies and establishing new households, romance and practical planning, combining in ways that strengthen community bonds. The afternoon activities include competitions that celebrate agricultural skills, with contests for the largest pumpkins, the finest preserved foods, and the most skilled demonstrations of farming techniques. These friendly rivalries encouraging excellence, while providing entertainment that reinforces community values and agricultural knowledge. Master Robert organizes traditional games that test strength and skill, while providing entertainment appropriate for harvest celebration, log-cutting contests that demonstrate forestry abilities needed for winter fuel preparation, archery competitions that maintain hunting skills important for supplementing stored food supplies, and racing events that celebrate physical fitness and competitive spirit. The festival includes storytelling sessions where village elders share memories of previous harvests, agricultural wisdom accumulated through decades of farming experience, and family histories that connect current celebrations with village traditions to respect to the community's founding. These oral traditions preserving knowledge and cultural identity for future generations. Dame Mathilde leads the group singing that accompanies traditional harvest dances, her strong voice carrying melodies that have been performed at autumn festivals throughout the region for generations, the music and movement creating opportunities for celebration that transcend individual families to embrace the entire community in shared joy and thanksgiving. Evening celebration centers around a bonfire built from agricultural waste, corn stalks and vine prunings that would otherwise require disposal, providing fuel for a fire that symbolizes the transformation of harvest abundance into winter warmth and light, the flames creating point for community gathering and contemplation of seasonal cycles. The festival concludes with the distribution of harvest gifts, each family receiving samples of foods prepared by their neighbors, creating opportunities for tasting different recipes and cook techniques, while ensuring that everyone benefits from community abundance regardless of their individual agricultural success. These exchanges demonstrating village solidarity and mutual care. The night deepens around us like a warm embrace as we journey to the village of Beaumont-sur-Loire during the spring festival of May 1423. Where the return of warm weather and emerging plant growth brings the community together for celebrations that mark the end of winter isolation and the beginning of another agricultural season filled with hope and renewed activity. The May Day Festival in Beaumont-sur-Loire represents one of the year's most joyful celebrations, marking the transition from winter's limitations to spring's possibilities, when longer days and warmer weather allow outdoor work to resume while emerging plant growth promises another year of agricultural productivity and natural abundance. The festival preparations begin with the traditional gathering of May flowers, village children walking through meadows and forest edges to collect the wild blossoms that symbolize spring's return, their colorful bouquets destined to decorate homes and public spaces, while creating the visual beauty that transforms ordinary village spaces into festival environments. Master Guillaume coordinates the construction of the traditional maypole, the tall wooden pot that serves as centerpiece for the spring dancing that represents the festival's most important community activity. His careful attention to proportions and decorative details ensuring that this year's pole meets the standards established by generations of village tradition. Dame Joanna leads the group of women who prepare the special foods that mark spring celebration, fresh breads made with herbs that emerge from winter storage, early vegetables that provide the first fresh nutrition after months of preserved foods, and dairy products that celebrate the renewed milk production as livestock benefit from spring pastures.
The village musicians spent the weeks before the festival practicing the traditional melodies that accompany May Day dancing, their fiddles and flutes providing the music framework for celebrations that combine individual expression with community coordination. The music creating rhythms that encourage participation while maintaining connections with cultural traditions. Young couples use the May Day festival as an occasion for courtship romance. The spring celebration providing socially acceptable opportunities for interaction between unmarried villagers, while the festival atmosphere encourages the optimism and joy that support lasting relationships and family formation. Love and community celebration combining naturally in the season of renewal. The religious aspects of the festival acknowledge divine providence in providing seasonal renewal, Father Guillaume offering prayers of thanksgiving for winter's safe passage and requesting blessings for the growing season ahead, his ceremony connecting earthly celebration with spiritual understanding that natural cycles reflect divine care for human communities. The festival begins with the decoration of the maypole using ribbons and flowers that create colorful patterns. While providing the streamers, dancers will weave into intricate designs, the decorating process involving the entire community in preparations that build anticipation while demonstrating collective artistic creativity and cooperation. The May Day dancing represents the festival's central activity, with villagers of all ages participating in traditional dances that weave ribbon patterns around the maypole while celebrating spring's return through music and movement that connects current celebration with generations of village tradition. The dancing creating opportunities for social interaction and physical joy. Children perform special games and activities designed specifically for May Day celebration. Flower chain making that teaches them traditional craft skills while creating decorative items for festival use. Singing competitions that preserve village songs and musical traditions. And treasure hunts that familiarize them with local geography while providing entertainment appropriate for their energy levels. The spring feast emphasizes foods that celebrate seasonal renewal, fresh dairy products that mark livestock's return to productivity, early greens that provide nutrition after months of stored foods, and special breads that incorporate herbs and flowers gathered specifically for festival use. The meal connecting community celebration with nat abundance and seasonal timing. Master Pierre organizes outdoor activities that take advantage of spring weather and lengthening days, foot races that celebrate renewed energy after winter's confinement, group games that encourage community interaction, skill demonstrations that prepare villagers for the agricultural work that will occupy them throughout the growing season. The afternoon brings storytelling sessions where village elders share memories of previous springs, agricultural wisdom relevant to planting and cultivation, and family histories that connect current celebration with community traditions. These oral traditions preserving cultural knowledge while strengthening intergenerational bonds and village identity. Dame Elizabeth coordinates the flower crown making that represents one of the festival's most beloved traditions, with village women and girls creating decorative headpieces that transform ordinary appearance into festival beauty, while demonstrating craft skills and artistic creativity. The flower crowns serving as symbols of spring return and community celebration. The evening activities include musical performances that showcase local talent while preserving traditional songs and instrumental pieces. Master Robert's fiddle providing dance music while Dame Marie's singing preserves ballads and songs that carry village history and cultural values. The music creating atmospheric beauty that enhances celebration while maintaining cultural continuity. The May Day celebration concludes with a torchlit procession through the village streets. Families carry lights that symbolize spring's triumph over winter darkness, while visiting neighborhood shrines and important community locations. The procession creating opportunities for prayer and reflection while demonstrating village unity and shared commitment to community values. Spring festival traditions of Beaumont-sur-Loire, like similar celebrations throughout medieval Europe, demonstrate how seasonal cycles provide natural frameworks for community gathering and cultural expression. creating annual rhythms that strengthen social bonds while connecting human communities with natural processes that provide framework for agricultural prosperity and spiritual understanding. As the festival torches flicker in the gentle spring breeze, calling celebration communities to peaceful rest after another successful day of community joy and thanksgiving, we encounter the ultimate destination of our journey through medieval village festivals, the eternal celebration ground that exists beyond time and season, where all the joy and community connection we have witnessed continues in perfect harmony. Here, in spaces that transcend the limitations of weather and calendar, the accumulated warmth of human celebration creates an atmosphere where every festival serves both community and individual needs, where every seasonal celebration strengthens social bonds while honoring natural cycles, and where the ancient rhythms of community gathering continue their peaceful service to human flourishing throughout all seasons and centuries. The festival traditions we have encountered in our journey through medieval Europe represent not merely historical customs, but enduring patterns of human cooperation that create joy while maintaining cultural values and community identity. The celebrations we have witnessed continue their essential work in the eternal festival ground where all authentic community gathering finds its ultimate purpose in serving human needs for connection, meaning, and shared celebration that make life worth living. Rest now, dear listener, knowing that every moment of community celebration you have ever experienced, every festival or gathering that has brought you joy, every time you have felt the warmth of belonging to something larger than yourself connects you to the eternal celebration where all human cooperation and shared joy find their lasting home. Sleep peacefully in knowledge that festivals continue, that community celebration never ends, that somewhere in the quiet places where neighbors gather in joy and neighbors help neighbors create beauty and meaning, the ancient work of building happiness through cooperation goes on, sustained by the understanding that human celebration at its best represents one of our species' most authentic expressions of gratitude for the gift of life and the blessing of community that makes individual existence meaningful and complete. The medieval night embraces you now, complete and eternal, where every village festival becomes a blessing, every community celebration becomes a prayer, every gathering that has strengthened human bonds becomes part of the infinite celebration that holds all human joy and thanksgiving, offering eternal festivity to every soul that approaches with humble heart and genuine appreciation for the connections that make life beautiful and community possible.
The Travelling Merchants, a medieval trade route. Sleep journey. Picture yourself on the dusty roads of long ago, where merchant families walked slowly through peaceful countryside, their pack horses carrying beautiful things from faraway places, and the gentle sound of bells and talking carries across green hills where old trading paths connect faraway villages. Tonight, we shall walk with the travelling merchants of medieval times, following their patient journeys between market towns and trading places where families spent many years building friendships that reached across the world, carrying precious spices from eastern kingdoms, beautiful cloth from Italian cities, and handmade treasures that brought wonder and happiness to villages that had never seen such amazing things. These were not scary adventures or dangerous trips, but the steady, careful journeys of people who made their living connecting faraway places, travelling familiar roads that their fathers and grandfathers had walked before them, building friendships that lasted their whole lives, and creating the trading networks that helped medieval towns grow through patient, honest dealing and being kind to people from different places. In this time of travelling traders and buying and selling between countries, when a piece of silk might travel from China to England, passing through many hands along ancient trading roads, travelling merchants were like messengers who carried both goods and news, bringing not only beautiful things but also knowledge, stories, and connections that made life better for everyone they met along their peaceful journeys. Let us walk now with their wandering stories, as gentle as morning mist rising from camping places, as steady as the rhythm of pack animals walking well-worn paths, timeless as people wanting to connect with others and find good things that has drawn merchants to distant roads since the beginning of time. Brother Antonio, a kind monk who travels with the group for protection and spiritual guidance, helps translate and solve problems when language differences make business talks difficult. His knowledge of Latin and various local languages making him very helpful for doing business in places where cultural differences might otherwise prevent successful trading relationships. The group's route follows paths used for hundreds of years of trading travel, crossing mountain passes that Roman road builders first made, stopping at market towns that grew rich by helping travelling merchants, and using networks of helpful places that connect monasteries, guild halls, and merchant families throughout the known world, through bonds of helping each other and professional courtesy. Master Giorgio, an experienced animal handler who has travelled these routes for 30 years, shares responsibility for animal care and finding the way, his deep knowledge of mountain weather patterns and seasonal dangers, making sure that the group travels safely while keeping schedules that work with market dates and seasonal demand cycles in distant cities. The cargo includes luxury cloth that shows the finest work of Italian craftspeople, silk fabrics woven with gold thread that will decorate the clothing of wealthy merchants and noble families, delicate glass containers that show Venetian artistic skill while serving practical purposes in rich households, and small luxury items that bring beauty and sophistication to communities far from major making centres. Dame Francesca's business letters keep relationships going with suppliers in Florence and Venice, customers in Paris and London, and fellow merchants throughout the trading network. Her letters coordinating purchases and sales while sharing information about market conditions, political developments, and seasonal factors that affect international trading throughout medieval Europe. Young Marco practices the talking skills that will eventually allow him to start his own trading partnerships, learning how to judge the quality of goods offered by unfamiliar suppliers, understanding the subtle signs that show honest dealing versus possible cheating, and developing the cultural understanding needed for doing business successfully across language and religious boundaries. The group's daily routine adapts to the rhythms of mountain travel, rising before sunrise to take advantage of cool morning temperatures, stopping during midday heat when animals and people need rest and shade, starting again in late afternoon when good conditions return, and making camp in places that provide water, grass for animals, and safety for overnight stays. Brother Antonio leads morning and evening prayers that provide spiritual framework for business activities, his presence reminding everyone that honest trade serves good purposes by connecting distant communities while creating wealth that benefits entire regions, his blessing of the cargo and journey, asking for divine protection while strengthening moral principles that guide honest business practices. The mountain passes present challenges that require cooperation and helping each other, narrow paths where pack animals must go single file, steep hills that demand careful load distribution, and weather conditions that can change quickly from pleasant autumn sunshine to dangerous mountain storms that threaten both cargo and lives if proper care is not taken. Master Giorgio's animal care makes sure that horses and mules stay healthy throughout the demanding journey, providing appropriate food and rest periods, watching animals for signs of injury or sickness, and making changes to loads and schedules that prevent the tiredness or accidents that could destroy months of planning and money spent in a few moments of carelessness. The group meets other travelling merchants along the route, creating opportunities for sharing news about market conditions, road safety, and business opportunities. These informal information exchanges providing knowledge that helps merchants make smart decisions about routing, timing, and what to buy and sell that can mean the difference between making money and losing money. Dame Francesca's talking skills prove essential when dealing with local officials who control toll bridges and mountain passes. Her ability to negotiate fair passage fees while keeping good relationships with officials, making sure that future journeys will go smoothly. Her understanding that successful long-distance trade depends on reputation and goodwill as much as financial resources. Feel your breathing slow as we join Master Henrik's trading trip, travelling the amber routes between the shores of Denmark and the business centres of Germany during the happy spring of 1456, where his family's many years of experience in Northern European trading have created networks of trust and partnership that span the entire region from Copenhagen to Cologne. The amber trade represents one of Northern Europe's most ancient and profitable business activities. The hardened tree sap prized throughout medieval Europe for its beauty, its supposed healing properties, and its use in religious items and luxury jewellery that shows wealth and sophisticated taste among rich merchants, church people, and noble families throughout the continent. Imagine yourself walking alongside Master Giuseppe and his merchant family as they make their way through the mountain passes during the beautiful autumn of 1403, carrying precious silk cloth and beautiful glass from Italy toward the great trading centres of France and England, their patient journey taking months of careful planning and years of making friends with people who sell things and people who buy things throughout Europe. The group of travellers has 12 pack horses and mules, each animal carefully chosen for being strong and gentle, carrying perfectly balanced loads that have been tied down with ropes according to the ways that mountain travellers have used for many years. Master Giuseppe paying attention to every detail to make sure that valuable things arrive safely despite bad weather, rough road, and the unexpected problems that happen during long trips. Dame Francesca, Giuseppe's wife and business partner, rides a gentle horse while keeping detailed records that track every sale, cost, and profit that determines their family's success. Her record books writing down not only money information but also notes about what customers like, how business is going, and the seasonal patterns that affect how much people want luxury goods in different places. Young Marco, the 17-year-old son, leads the pack train while learning the countless skills needed for successful merchant work, understanding how to read weather signs that predict mountain storms, knowing which inns provide honest service and fair prices, and developing talking skills needed for dealing with tax collectors, bridge guards, and local officials who control trading roads. Khalil develops language skills and cultural knowledge that will eventually enable him to expand the family's trading network, his ability to communicate effectively with European customers, understand local business customs, and navigate the complex social relationship that determine business success in diverse cultural environments throughout the medieval European and Mediterranean trading world. As the group bells ring softly in the evening breeze, calling merchant families to peaceful rest after another successful day of trade and cultural exchange, we reach the final destination of our journey through medieval trade, the eternal marketplace that exists beyond time and geography, where all the honest dealing and shared wealth we've witnessed continues in perfect harmony. Here, in trading spaces that go beyond the limitations of distance and cultural difference, the accumulated wisdom of merchant families creates an atmosphere where every transaction serves both individual wealth and community benefit, where every trade route strengthens connections between distant peoples, and where the ancient rhythms of business exchange continue their peaceful service to human happiness throughout all seasons and centuries. The trading traditions we have met in our journey through medieval Europe represent not just historical business practices, but lasting patterns of human cooperation that create wealth while building bridges between different cultures and communities. The merchant families we have met continue their essential work in the eternal marketplace, where all real trade finds its ultimate purpose in serving human needs, while fostering understanding and cooperation across every boundary that might otherwise divide peoples and nations. Rest now, dear listener, knowing that every honest transaction you have ever made, every moment of fair dealing and shared benefit you have experienced, every time you have built relationships through patient cooperation and shared wealth, connects you to the eternal marketplace where all human trade and cultural exchange find their lasting home. Sleep peacefully in the knowledge that trade routes continue, that honest merchants never stop their journeys, that somewhere in the quiet places where different peoples meet in friendship and shared benefit, the ancient work of building wealth through cooperation goes on, sustained by understanding that trade at its best represents one of humanity's most real expressions of trust, hope, and shared commitment to creating abundance that benefits everyone who participates in the eternal exchange of goods, services, and goodwill. The medieval night embraces you now, complete and eternal, where every trade route becomes a pathway to understanding, every merchant family becomes a bridge between cultures, every business transaction that has strengthened human connections becomes part of the marketplace that holds all human cooperation and shared wealth, offering eternal abundance to every soul that approaches with humble heart and genuine appreciation for the patience, honesty, and cultural understanding that transform simple business dealings into lasting foundations for peace and wealth among all peoples. Master Henrik's group specializes in carrying the finest grades of amber, carefully chosen pieces that range from small beads suitable for prayer beads and jewelry to large, perfectly preserved pieces that will become centerpieces for fancy decorative objects. Ordered by wealthy customers, his skill in amber grading and quality checking making him one of Northern Europe's most respected amber merchants. Dame Ingrid, Henrik's wife, who manages the family's money operations, coordinates buying relationships with amber gatherers along the Baltic coastline, keeping connections with fishing families, who add to their income by collecting amber washed ashore by winter storms. Her knowledge of seasonal patterns and weather conditions ensuring the best timing for amber getting and transport. Their 21-year-old son has mastered the technical skills needed for amber preparation and processing, understanding how to clean and polish raw amber, how to identify the most valuable pieces, and how to prepare amber pieces for various business use, while keeping the natural beauty that makes Baltic amber the most prized variety in medieval markets.
The Monastery Scribes, a medieval bookmaking sleep journey. Picture yourself in the quiet halls of a medieval monastery, where gentle monks spend their days copying beautiful books by hand, their careful work creating treasures that will last forever. Tonight, we shall walk with the monastery scribes of medieval times, following their patient journey of making books, where families of monks spent many years creating the most beautiful writings the world has ever seen. These were not fast machines or quick printing, but the slow, careful work of people who made books one letter at a time, using special inks and precious gold, building libraries that would teach people for hundreds of years, creating art so beautiful that even today we stop and stare in wonder at their amazing skill and endless patience. In this time of handmade books and careful writing, when a single book might take months to complete, passing through many hands along the monastery halls, scribes were like artists who painted with words, bringing not only stories but also knowledge, beauty, and wisdom that made life better for everyone who would ever read their precious books. Let us walk now with their gentle stories, as quiet as morning prayers in the chapel, as steady as the rhythm of quill pens on parchment, as timeless as people wanting to share knowledge and beauty that has drawn scribes to their writing desks since books began. Imagine yourself walking alongside Brother Francis in the scriptorium of St. Benedict's Monastery during the peaceful autumn of 1425, where morning light streams through tall windows onto wooden desks, where monks sit copying the most important books of their time, their patient work representing months of careful planning and years of training in ancient arts of writing and book decoration. The scriptorium has 20 writing desks, each one carefully positioned to catch the best light, with special stands that hold parchment at just the right angle for comfortable writing. Brother Francis pays attention to every detail to make sure that valuable books are created perfectly despite the challenges of dim winter days, cold fingers, and the careful concentration needed for creating letters that must be exactly right. Sister Margaret, who works in Monastery's book preparation room, makes the special inks and prepares the parchment that the scribes will use. Her recipe books containing secret formulas passed down through generations of monastery workers, her knowledge of colors and materials ensuring that each book will remain beautiful and readable for hundreds of years to come. Young Brother Thomas, a 20-year-old novice monk, practices the basic writing skills needed for manuscript creation, learning how to cut quill pens from goose feathers, understand how to mix inks that won't fade with time, and developing the steady hand control needed for creating the perfect letters that distinguish professional scribes from ordinary writers. Father Benedictus, the monastery's head librarian who oversees all book creation, decides which texts deserve the time and expense of hand copying. His knowledge of Latin and various local languages making him very helpful for choosing books that will serve the monastery's educational and spiritual mission while preserving important knowledge for future generations. The monastery's daily routine follows paths used for hundreds of years of religious life, beginning with dawn prayers in the chapel, continuing with morning work in the scriptorium during the best light hours, stopping for communal meals and afternoon prayers, ending with evening study time when monks read the books they have spent their days creating. Brother Augustine, an experienced illuminator who has decorated manuscripts for 30 years, creates the beautiful pictures and decorative borders that make monastery books true works of art. His deep knowledge of color mixing and gold leaf application, ensuring that each page becomes a treasure that combines spiritual meaning with artistic beauty. The book creation process includes many specialized steps that require different skills and careful coordination, copying text in perfect handwriting, creating decorative capital letters that begin each chapter, adding colorful illustrations that help explain the stories, and binding finished pages into covers that will protect the precious contents for centuries of use by future readers. Sister Margaret's ink preparation workshop maintains recipes that have been perfected over generations, mixing plant dyes for colored inks, preparing iron gall ink for everyday writing, and creating the special gold ink used for most important religious texts. Her understanding of chemistry and natural materials ensuring that every letter will remain clear and bright, despite the passage of time. Young Brother Thomas learns the careful techniques that distinguish master scribes from beginning writers, practicing letter formation until each character looks exactly like the monastery's official style, understanding the spacing and proportion that makes text easy to read, and developing the cultural knowledge needed for correctly copying texts in Latin, French, and the local languages used in their region. The scriptorium's work schedule coordinates with seasonal patterns that affect both parchment preparation and ink performance, autumn and winter work taking advantage of stable indoor temperatures, spring cleaning and preparation of new materials, and summer planning for the coming year's major projects. When the monastery receives requests for special books from other religious communities, Father Benedictus leads the copying projects that preserve the most important texts of medieval learning, religious writings that guide spiritual development, classical literature from ancient Greece and Rome, scientific texts that contain medical and agricultural knowledge, and historical chronicles that record important events for future generations to study and remember. The monastery encounters traveling scholars and religious visitors, creating opportunities for sharing knowledge about new texts and copying techniques, exchanging information about different styles of book decoration, and maintaining professional relationships that enable monastery scriptoriums to work together on large projects that require coordination between multiple religious communities. Brother Augustine's illumination work provides artistic services that extend beyond simple text copying, his ability to create beautiful religious artwork, making him a valued consultant for other monasteries, planning major book projects, his knowledge of symbolic imagery and religious iconography ensuring that every illustration serves both artistic and educational purposes. Feel breathing slow as we join the morning prayers in St. Benedict's Chapel, where the community of scribes begins each day with spiritual preparation for their sacred work, their voices joining together in ancient chants that have echoed through monastery halls for hundreds of years, creating the peaceful atmosphere that enables careful, meditative work throughout the long hours of book creation. The chapel service represents more than simple religious observance, providing spiritual framework for work that the monks consider a form of prayer. Their belief that copying sacred texts serves God's purposes by preserving divine wisdom for future generations, their understanding that beautiful books honor both human creativity and divine inspiration that guides all meaningful artistic endeavor. After morning prayers, the scribes walk quietly to the scriptorium, their soft footsteps echoing gently through stone corridors with carved religious artwork, each monk carrying the writing materials they will need for the day's work: quill pens carefully cut and prepared, ink containers filled with the colors needed for their assigned pages, and the mental focus required for hours of careful concentration. Brother Francis takes his place at the large oak desk, where he has worked for 15 years, arranging his materials with the precise organization that prevents mistakes and ensures steady progress. Parchment positioned at the perfect angle, comfortable writing, inkwells placed within easy reach, and reference texts open to the passages you will copy during the morning work session. The scriptorium fills gradually with the gentle sounds of productive work: quill pens scratching softly against parchment, pages turning as scribes check their reference texts, occasional quiet conversations as monks consult each other about difficult passages or uncertain spellings, and the peaceful atmosphere of people engaged in meaningful work that serves purposes larger than individual achievement. Sister Margaret arrives with a day's supply of fresh inks, each color mixed according to recipes that balance beauty with permanence. Red ink made from crushed insects mixed with tree sap, blue ink created from powdered lapis stone imported from distant mountains, and black ink prepared from iron and oak galls that will remain dark and clear for centuries of reading. Young Brother Thomas practices his letter formation on practice parchment, working to achieve the consistency and elegance that characterizes professional monastery writing, each letter carefully shaped according to the official monastery style, spacing measured to create text that appears balanced and easy to read. His steady improvement showing the results of patient practice and careful instruction from experienced scribes. The morning light reaches its peak intensity around mid-morning, providing the bright illumination that enables detailed work on the most challenging aspects of manuscript creation: intricate capital letters that require steady hand control, delicate border decorations that must be perfectly symmetrical, and fine text corrections that demand the clearest possible vision for precise execution. Father Benedictus walks through the scriptorium, checking on the progress of various projects while offering guidance and encouragement. his presence reminding everyone that their individual work contributes to the monastery's larger mission of preserving and sharing knowledge. His quiet words of appreciation, acknowledging the skill and dedication required for creating books that will outlast their makers. Brother Augustine works at his special illumination desk, equipped with additional lighting and magnifying tools that enable the detailed artwork that transforms simple text pages into magnificent artistic creations. Gold leaf parchment, requiring perfect timing and steady hands. Miniature paintings that tell stories within the margins of written text. Decorative borders that frame each page with intricate patterns, inspired by nature and religious symbolism. As midday approaches, the scribes prepare for the communal meal that provides both nourishment and social connection, carefully cleaning their quill pens and covering their work to protect it from dust, organizing their materials for the afternoon work session, and joining their fellow monks in the refectory where simple food and quiet conversation restore energy for continued productive work. The afternoon work session focuses on different aspects of book creation, proofreading and correction of morning writing, preparation of parchment for tomorrow copying, consultation about difficult translation questions, and planning for the long-term projects that will occupy the scriptorium for months or even years of careful, coordinated effort by multiple scribes working together. Sister Margaret spends afternoon preparing the special materials needed for the monastery's most prestigious projects. Gold leaf that will decorate religious texts commissioned by wealthy patrons, purple ink reserved for the most sacred writings, and vellum parchment made from the finest calfskin that provides the smooth, durable surface required for the monastery's most important and beautiful books. Young Brother Thomas receives individual instruction from Brother Francis, learning the subtle techniques that separate competent writing from truly masterful calligraphy, understanding how slight variations in pen pressure create different line weights, practicing the rhythm and flow that enables hours of writing without hand fatigue, developing the artistic sensitivity that transforms simple letter formation into beautiful, expressive handwriting. The monastery's library grows steadily through the scribe's patient work, each completed book representing months of careful labor by multiple people working together, religious texts that guide spiritual development, educational materials that preserve important knowledge, literary works that provide entertainment and cultural enrichment, and historical records that document important events for future generations to study and understand. Father Benedictus coordinates the monastery's relationships with other religious communities, sharing copies of important texts, while requesting access to manuscripts that the monastery would like to add to its collection. These exchanges creating networks of knowledge that connect the monasteries throughout Europe, enabling the preservation and distribution of learning that might otherwise be lost to war, fire, or simple neglect. The evening work period provides time for the detailed finishing work that transforms completed text into bound books ready for use, sewing pages together with strong thread, attaching wooden covers wrapped in leather, adding metal clasps and decorative elements, and applying the final protective treatments that will enable books to survive centuries of handling by countless readers. Brother Augustine's evening hours focus on the most delicate aspects of illumination work, applying gold leaf that must be perfectly smooth and permanently attached, adding final details to miniature paintings, completing decorative borders with intricate patterns that require steady concentration, and signing his artistic work with the humble pride appropriate to a monk whose creativity serves divine purposes. As evening prayers approach, the scribes complete their daily work with the satisfaction that comes from meaningful labor well performed, covering their materials and organizing their desks for tomorrow's work, reflecting on the progress made toward completing their current projects, and preparing mentally for the evening worship that provides spiritual framework for their artistic and intellectual endeavors. The chapel fills again with the community of scribes, their voices joining in evening prayers that give thanks for another day of productive work, requesting divine guidance for tomorrow's labor, and acknowledging spiritual significance of work that preserves and shares divine wisdom through the patient creation of beautiful, lasting books that will serve future generations. The night deepens around the monastery like a peaceful blessing. The scribes rest in their simple cells, knowing that tomorrow will bring another day of meaningful work in service of knowledge and beauty, their dreams filled with visions of perfectly formed letters, colorful illuminations, and the quiet satisfaction that comes from participating in the ancient tradition of preserving human wisdom through patient, careful, artistic labor. Rest now, dear listener, in the quiet halls where monks still work by candlelight, creating books that will outlast kingdoms and empires, their patient labor demonstrating that some forms of human work transcend temporal concerns to serve the eternal values of beauty, truth, and wisdom that connect all people across centuries and cultures through the shared love of learning and artistic creation. Sleep peacefully, knowing that somewhere in quiet places, people still work with careful hands and patient hearts to preserve and share the knowledge that makes human life meaningful, their dedication honoring the understanding that true wealth consists not in material possessions, but in intellectual and spiritual treasures that enrich every person willing to approach books with humble appreciation for the wisdom they contain. The medieval monastery embraces you now, complete and eternal, where every carefully formed letter becomes a prayer, every illuminated page becomes a window into divine beauty, every completed book becomes a bridge, connecting past and future through the timeless human commitment to preserving and sharing the knowledge that makes civilization possible and meaningful for all people in all times.